Welcome to the Backpacking Blisters podcast. Thank you for joining us. With me today is interim host Ben McAuliffe. How's it going, man?
It's going good. Been sunny, been hot. So just working away up here in Northern Cal, and no trips planned yet. How about you?
No trips planned. This episode's about a trip. We're talking about a trip. What are you talking about?
Well, don't you get back and you're like, I can't wait for the next one, and so you want to start planning trips?
Depends. Yeah, if there's nothing like upcoming, then for sure I'll look into that. But we got to talk about this trip. So let's
Okay.
let's stay in the present or the recent past. But
Ooh.
yeah, so we went on a backpacking trip to the Trinity Alps. It happened to be our second Patreon trip of the year. Generally speaking, what was the hardest part of the trip for you?
It was probably remembering everyone's names. There was a lot of people on this trip, 12 other people. I remembered your name, even though this was our first time meeting in person, which was cool. You greeted me with a hug and a bear canister, which we'll talk about later. And so then after like I got there, like everyone else was like, hey, how's it going? And one person brought me jelly beans, and the next day.
All right, so back up, man. Why did somebody bring you jelly beans?
Well, there's a story that I told on air about when I was 2 or 4 or 5, and when I saw jelly beans, I peed my pants. And so somebody, I think, brought me jelly beans thinking I'd pee my pants on the spot. But I'm past that. I got the jelly beans, and they motivated me on the trail as I ate them. So it was good.
They motivated you to not to go to the bathroom in your pants? Congratulations.
Yeah. No, to have them so I had energy to continue on the trip, because as some people know, my pack might have been a little heavier than others.
So yeah, and that's what I thought would be your answer. Is the hardest part was me packing for you, because you just came across as one of those guys who's like, I can use one of these or I can use 100 of these, just throw it in the pack. And you had a full pack, and you had 4 water bottles that were full. You had like a full thing of wipes, like a full package. It looked like an extra large package, to be honest.
Well, so it was 40, and I wasn't going to take packs out to save them for later. I don't know. So yeah.
Wait. You don't know how to bring just a few wipes, you're saying?
No, I didn't want to bring just a few wipes because that pack was never open, and then they dry out until next year, and then you got to rehydrate them, and why not have them? And if memory serves me, I think half the items I brought you used. So I don't know.
Half? Half. Okay, that's ridiculous. All right, so we got to talk about this trip. We had some really weird things happen on this trip, like weirder than normal. And so let's just talk about the structure. Okay, so
yeah.
Okay, give us the rundown here. Is a 3-day trip. How is it structured?
Yeah, so this was it 3? I always forget if it's 3 days, 4 nights, or 2 days, 2 nights. So Saturday to Monday. So 3 days, 2 night trip to the Trinity Alps, which is in my backyard, basically. 2-hour drive for me. So it was close, which I loved. It was beautiful country that we live in. So I think I had a little different experience because I think you slept like in a tent, right, the night before, or what was your experience? Because I woke up at, I think, 6:00 and got to the trail at 9. So,
like, periodically we'll have these guests on the show where we ask them a question and they go off in a direction and stay there, and that's where you are right now, Ben. So let's get back to the question. What's the structure of the trip?
Yeah, the structure of the trip is day 1 we hiked, day 2 we hiked, and day 3 we hiked out. So
and you can't beat analysis like that, folks. So now everybody gets a sense of exactly how things went. Oh my gosh. All right. I'm going to retitle this episode Pulling Teeth from Ben. Okay. Day 1, we hiked in 10 miles, which is a lot of miles for a Patreon trip, more than we usually do. It was billed as like an easy hike or easier hike, but we still did 2,400 feet of elevation gains. So I'm not so sure I would label that as easy. I think overall I would label this as like moderate, because you weren't like on your tippy toes. There's like one small section. It was, the climb was moderate and steady. It wasn't terrible.
Yeah. We took a lot of breaks in there too, to help acclimate us and catch up. And
for sure. So then we hit a meadow, we camped in the meadow, and that's kind of where we set up base camp. Day 2, we day hiked from there, and we ascended a little bit more and got up to some alpine lakes, which were pretty cool. And so we kind of did an up and back there, got back to base camp, hung out, and then day 3 we hiked out, which of course is mostly downhill, And I think people thought it was a race because there were 0 breaks. And I literally was trying to catch with everybody to like do a quick interview with them, like on camera. And I didn't catch them. Like there was people that we had to record at the end because they were going too fast. So
they were
that's the structure.
rocket speed. Yeah. Nobody stopped. They just kept going. Yeah. It was crazy.
Okay.
Oh,
so, and I feel like I got to say this because if you're considering a Patreon trip or you're new to backpacking, you're like, what does backpacking look like, especially when you set up camp? What we're describing is very unique. Our trips are not typical. They're kind of like borderline a circus on the trail. And so don't either expect this to be the case on a backpacking trip or a Patreon trip. You just never know what's going to happen. Is that fair to say?
Well, this was my first one with you guys and you, and so I'm expecting this every time. So you better entertain me.
Entertain me.
Yeah. Are you not entertained? I mean, I didn't have to yell that once. So that was great.
All right. So our Trinity Alps experience is brought to you by Enlightened Equipment. Check out all their performance and casual apparel. They literally all have 5 out of 5 stars. You can't beat that. Check it out at enlightenedequipment.com. We're going to get to the story here momentarily. But first, Ben, you got the Bible verse for the episode?
I do. Psalm 139:7. Where shall I go from your spirit, or where shall I flee from your presence? Carl, it seemed like on the trip you were fleeing from my presence the first day.
Is that a question? Or you just
that was the question. You're supposed
me?
to no, I mean I accused you, but I can make it more question. Carl, it felt like you were fleeing from my presence the first day.
How about why were you fleeing? What is it about me that makes you want to flee?
If you hear my voice, if you hear my voice, I raised it, so it ends in a question. It's a very American, I think. I think it's a Midwestern thing that we don't finish our questions the right way. So, anyways,
okay. So definition of flee is you're moving fast or faster away from somebody. Would you agree with that?
I would think, or you're purposely like staying behind. And
you're
not
fleeing by staying put. That doesn't make sense because then that person can catch you if they're trying to catch you.
Right? Maybe. I would think fleeing is just, okay.
You were moving, you were literally at the head of the pack like 90% of the time. So if anybody was doing the fleeing, my friend, it was you.
And then I'd catch up to you, let you catch up, and then somehow I'd always get away from you. So I don't know. But yeah.
I mean, if this is like a way for you to use the Bible verse to like brag about how fast you're on the trail, then that's not really appropriate. Okay. I don't want to talk about this anymore. Let's get to it. All right. So we had 3 days on the trail, base camp, and I'm gonna let you go first. Give me a really weird thing that happened that you don't think typically would happen on your average backpacking trip.
Yeah. So we're sitting around just getting to know people, and I was
in camp.
In camp. And you disappeared with someone else, and all of a sudden you came up and you had a Sasquatch pinata. And you're like, hey guys, grab a stick, let's find a bandana, and let's whack this thing. And so we had a pinata full of candy on the trail. And once the pinata got hit and exploded everywhere, it wasn't like kids where you're running and like trying to get as much as you can. All the adults are like, cool, let's go. And they moseyed over the candy and were like picking up. But there was a couple where you snag it out of other people's hands. So that was probably my number one. Not my top one, just my number one, Carl.
A backpacking pinata.
Yeah.
Okay.
I can't believe somebody carried that and still had lighter weight than me in my backpack.
Yeah, I'll take credit for, I guess, coming up with the idea. Apparently on a prior episode, we talked about having a backpacking pinata. I don't know even what episode that was or why we'd even talk about that. But Jason from Oregon, he and his wife like collaborated. His wife did the creation, but he was the one that kind of gave the idea. And they made this 3-pound pinata. It was like out of a grocery bag, but then it was like truly beautifully decorated. And it just had, it had like Mike and Ike's. It had Sasquatch stickers in there. It had all sorts of stuff.
I know. I got the stickers. It was fun.
And so and he brought he brought like a bandana blindfold. And so we're sitting there swinging at it and whacking the pinata. And so, like a little kid game that I thought it was cool. I thought it was super cool.
Yeah, it was fun. What's funny is no one offered to use their trekking poles like for that. Like we all were trying to find a stick. So it's
because somebody wants to break their trekking pole. Who knows what's inside? What if you put, like rock candy or something?
Rock candy just shatters it. All right.
Shatters the pole.
What's yours?
All right. So that was a good one. First one. All right. Next one we've got. All right. So Ben mentioned that I arrived I gave him a hug. I didn't have the bear canister in hand, but he did ask to borrow bear canister. Side note, we didn't need to have bear canisters. Ursacks would have been fine. And as I predicted, we didn't have bears in camp, but everybody took precautions with the bear stuff. So Ben arrives, he's packed, which I appreciate, but he did not account for the bear canister. He also thought that everybody else would be packed and ready to go, which is typically not the case. And he thought they were going to be on time, not the case. And so rather than like unpack part of his pack and like throw stuff in the bear canister so he could put the bear canister inside his pack, he's like, whatever, I'll just carry it. And so he's carrying it like under his arm, beating it like a drum for 10 stinking miles. 10
Okay,
miles.
I didn't beat it for the full 10 miles. People are like, I don't want to go on the trail with him because it's going to be annoying after a mile, half the mile.
Right.
But yeah, I literally thought I showed up, I think 5 minutes maybe before 9. So I grabbed my pack and I thought like I was it. And I'm like, trying to make that fashionable entrance, put my pack on. And I was ready I was just going to keep going.
Right.
But yeah, that was definitely not the case. And yeah, it was good. It was like a little fidget spinner in my hand. So I just kept, getting the bear canister moved and
yeah,
it's good.
Yeah, it's a fair enough story. Still weird though. That's fine.
Yeah. And when I got to camp, I put all my stuff in.
Thank you. All right, next one, what you got?
Okay. So before you interrupt me, my next thing is trekking poles. And I know you're gonna be like, no, that's normal stuff. First of all, I couldn't believe how many people had trekking poles. Like, I think we were in the minority. I think there's everybody, me and you and maybe one other person. But they also use them for their tents, which each their own. Which ran into an issue because we were in the meadow taking a nice group picture, and me and another guy got back to camp, and which was like 50 yards away, and one of his tents is like collapsed on itself because he was using trekking poles to hold the tent up. And we're like, what in the world's happening here? So we look, and there's deer running away with the trekking poles in their mouth, holding onto the leather. Yeah. And so we had to chase them down. Another guy lost his shirt to the deer. And then we captured that, and it was just gross and encountered with deer saliva because apparently they like salt and licked it all. So yeah, that was a unique experience for me.
Yeah. And I've had deer attack my gear before where it's like, it was yanking my backpack out from underneath the vestibule in the middle of the night. That freaked me out a little bit, but I've never had them like run around the camp. So that was actually kind of funny to watch for sure.
Yeah, they were very friendly deer and weren't afraid to go grab it. And we had a group camp next to us that they saw us with our deer, and they put their camp. They didn't hang their bear canister. They hung their trekking poles in the trees.
I know that was just really funny.
Yeah,
so. The trekking pole hang. Yeah. Yeah, I guess it would have been more entertaining to see you carry the bear canister if you were also a trekking pole guy.
I would have made something up, but yeah, I might have just kicked the bear canister down the trail. All right, what's your next one?
For sure. Okay, so let's see here. Next on my list, I'm gonna go with it was day 2. We're doing our hike. We're going up to the lakes, and we stop randomly. I don't even know why we stopped. I don't know if people were catching up or whatever, but Tupperware Mike, he's like, hey, we need a scat expert. What kind of scat is that? And he's pointing to the side of the trail, which is a weird question. But
yeah, it was me and him. Yeah, me and him were, because it was big scat. Even for bear.
Okay.
Like I live in bear country, and that was big scat. So continue.
Yeah.
Like I'm just backing him up. It was big scat.
But it's just weird to like stop. Hey everybody, let's look at this poop.
It was so big.
Okay. It wasn't like, I don't know. You must have different experiences. That looked like normal size to me. It just looked like a normal size pile. Okay. Anyway, so I stepped forward because I actually do know a fair amount about scat, and I was like, that is bear scat. And then Tupperware Mike's like, no, it's not. It's dog poop. Which, if that's the case, then why are we stopped? Why are we looking at this? And so then a hiker comes the opposite direction and was not wanting to talk, but I was like, hey, dude, sorry to interrupt you. What kind of scat is that we're talking about? He's like, and he did like without breaking stride, he's like, I don't know, bear scat, and keeps on walking. So
I wouldn't even call it. That was weird. He was wearing jeans too, which made it very weird to see him because who hikes in jeans? But continue.
Yeah, I actually didn't notice that. That's interesting.
Yeah, I did.
Not part of the story though, but interesting.
No.
Okay,
yeah.
so then up steps our veterinarian in the group with a Ziploc bag, And he goes and identifies the scat as bear scat as well, but he's got a Ziploc bag in his hand, and he reaches down and scoops part of the pile into the bag, and he's like, "I'm gonna bring this back for further testing."
Yeah, Scatmaster. And
Yeah.
he didn't you make it sound like he like moseyed on up to grab it. No, he like lunged fastward, like almost would have pushed kids out of the
Wait,
way
wait,
to
what
get
was
the
that word?
scat. Yeah,
Fast word? Fast word. I
fastward.
like that
Yeah,
word.
fastward.
Okay.
Yeah, if there's like children and women in the way, he would have like went over them to get the scat. Like it was quick.
Shoved him out of the
Yeah.
way.
Yeah.
Out of the way. This is my scat. Yeah. I've never seen anybody pick up scat on the trail, not just to like identify, like, I think Bear Grylls picks up scat and then sifts through it and then eats
Yeah.
the nuggets out of it on his show just to get a reaction out of everybody. But to save it for further testing was new for me.
Well, I still think that he keeps that as memorabilia, uh, because
Okay.
like he's like wants to remember the trip. So he's like, when you go to his house, he pulls out a drawer and like, yeah, so this is the bear scat from Trinity Alps, and this is the scorpion scat from Phoenix. Like I think
Scorpion
he just,
scat.
I think he just keeps it. Yeah,
Yeah, I think that'd be weird, but to
yeah.
each their own. Again, like you were saying about the trekking pole tents. Okay. So that's my number 2. What's your number 3?
My number 3 is this one. I was eating my peach cobbler that you got me, and I think which was nice. You gave it to me after we got to camp, so I didn't have to carry it in my pack. So I saved some weight.
I packed in an entire peach cobbler. That's pretty nice of me, huh?
Yeah. One serving of peak. It was really good. So I'm
Peak
enjoying
refuel.
this.
It's dehydrating.
Yeah,
You gotta tell the
I know.
people what it is. Tell them.
Okay. Well, I was trying not to make it a sponsorship because we aren't sponsored by them.
No,
Peak refuel.
they think that I backpacked in a whole peach cobbler. I didn't do
Well,
that.
that was
Although
some other guy made us a cheesecake on the trail, but this was a peach cobbler, peak refuel, and so it was really good. I heated up my water, I poured it in, I waited the 8 minutes that you're supposed to, finally open it up, I take a bite and I hear whoop whoop, and I'm like, what is happening? Because I want to enjoy this dessert because we were like cold on the trail, and
right.
and so we hear whoop, and we turn, and here's this scrawniest looking yeti emerging like swamp
Wait,
thing
what was
out of
it?
the
A
woods.
Yeti?
Well, a yeti. Well, that's what we thought at first because we couldn't
Okay.
tell what color it was. It looked white, and so we're trying to guess what this creature is emerging from the woods. And as he got closer, it turned out it was an alien, and he just wanted to know if we had camping permits, which we did. So it was a fun experience.
Okay. Oh my
Yeah,
gosh. All right. So somebody brought an alien costume and dressed up in it and then like snuck into our campsite, basically. Like
exactly.
escaped and then snuck back in. So yeah,
Yeah.
that was weird. That doesn't happen typically.
No.
All right. My last one has to go with the trivia challenge that we've been doing where
Oh yeah.
we both, like we had whoever lost the most trivias had some sort of punishment. We tied, so we both had punishments. I had to pack in and bring a bivy sack and sleep in that for a night. Not a very interesting story.
You didn't pack it in. I don't think you wore it. You didn't wear it to mile 5. So let's just set that standard. Like it wasn't
Wear the bivy
attached to
sack?
you.
What are you talking about?
Well, no, you like wear it on your pack. Like you said, you carried it in. And
Oh,
you didn't
I did
carry it
carry it
in
the whole
until
way.
like mile 5. Oh,
I
it was
carried
given to you
literally the
okay.
whole way.
It was halfway in. It was halfway in. But anyways,
No,
continue
what are you
because we
talking
gave you the
about, man?
carabiner. Yeah.
It
Okay.
it
It's
didn't
okay.
make the pack weigh in, but it went in my pack
Right.
after that.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
that's where you're confused. So
Okay.
stop making up stuff. Okay. So anyway, so I fulfilled my end of the deal. Ben had to dress like a ranger. He had to be a fake ranger. He had a name tag. He had the ranger hat. He packed that in, and then he had to ask people for their permits. And so for me, it's weird because we weren't even filming or capturing it, but like as we're taking a break on the trail, these random 2 hikers are coming up to us and they're encountering obviously like 13 people on the trail, which is ridiculous. And then Ben's just like, he's sitting in the middle of the trail facing them. And he's like, hey, do you guys got a permit? And they're like, and at first they didn't realize like he was messing around. So like, no, I didn't know that we
I
needed
don't even know
one.
this person. Yeah. Like we're not together.
Yeah. Then they're like, yeah, I don't know. Kind of one of those things. And then they also had 3 dogs with them. And then Ben said something to the effect of like, just so you guys know, there's like a 2-dog limit for this trail.
Yeah, do you have a permit for the third dog? Yeah, I asked him if they had a permit for the third dog. Yeah, and he
And they
played
figured
along.
at that point they figured it out, and they were in on the jokes. It wasn't socially awkward like it was at
Yeah.
first. And then later on at camp, he went to like the neighboring camp and like charges up to them and was like, it's like, show me your permit. He didn't really do that.
No,
But
well, you said it because you're like, hey, I'm going to film a guy of authority coming into your campsite. And so, you know, these ladies that are in their 60s were enjoying a nice campfire. And I yelled at our group to set the stage. And I think they were on edge, like, oh man, this guy's going to be tough. And so when I showed up and asked for their permit, they were like right away defensive and like, yeah, we got a permit. You want to see our campfire permit too? And I was like, this is all just a joke. We're going to step away. But I don't know if they were ready to hang next to a group of 13 people and then get visited by an alien later that night as well. So
yeah, I don't think they were into that.
Yeah.
But I will say, so you did a good job fulfilling your end of the bargain. Like, kudos to you. I think though, you kind of liked it. Like, I think you kind of want to do this on every trip, right?
No, I mean, I'm outgoing and it's fine, but I'm not going to fall for that trap that you're going to make me do it for every trip.
I'm not going to make you, but
I wouldn't let you.
Okay, well, let me ask you this question. I don't want a story here. I just want to answer. Trip ends, like we've gone our separate ways. I'm back in Colorado. You're back in Northern California. Where is the name tag and the Ranger hat? Where is it right now?
It's with me.
It's with you. So somebody wanted to keep the outfit and use it on a future trip, is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah. I got to get back to you somehow.
That's right.
It's so I can see you again, Carl. So I can see you again.
Oh, thank you. All right. Last weird thing that happened on this trip, Ben. What you got?
Jeopardy. And I'll just leave it at that. If you want to come on a trip, Patreon trip, you'll have to find that out for yourself. How about that?
You don't want to explain the Jeopardy story.
All right, I'll explain it because
you don't. It's up to you. It's up to you.
I'll explain it. Yeah, it's fun.
Because this will happen on future trips. This truly will.
Yeah. So if you don't want to hear the story, just tune it off for the next 30 seconds while I explain it. So there was a felt carpet fabric 4x4. I think somebody trekked in, and whoever brought it in, their pack was still lighter than mine. And there's Jeopardy cards. Carl was our host, which was fun. It wasn't like the 200, 400. There wasn't a daily double, which I was kind of disappointed because we were pretending there was that. We were broken off in 3
Storytelling is going into the toilet right now. Keep going.
No, it's not. Oh my gosh. People are laughing in their car and you're interrupting the story. They're like, get to the story.
It's not a story. It's not even making sense. This is nonsensical. Okay. They brought in a carpet with Jeopardy cards. What the heck does that mean?
Okay, so there's fabric, and then they had felt, and they had Velcro, and they stuck the 200, 300, 400, 500, 600, all the dollar amounts, which you didn't win any money on this trip. So just get that out of the system. You're not winning anything.
You can't stay on you can't stay on topic. Okay. Keep going.
I don't know if I can. You keep doing it. Now I got to start over again. So there's fabric. No, I'm kidding.
No, don't start over.
And so anyway, so Carl starts asking the Jeopardy questions, and we're in 3 different groups, and he changes the rules pretty much right away. And so now he's like, all right, one person has to answer, and you can't whisper in that person's ear, otherwise it's out. And so we're abiding by these rules. It changes. Now people are starting to lose their mind and starting to argue with Carl. And we found out that the more you argue with Carl, the more points you get. So we got 52 points by arguing, by just telling him he's wrong. So at some point, it looked like Carl wanted to be anywhere else but the Jeopardy game, which he said he was having fun.
I was.
But it was a fun time. I mean, when we got done with Jeopardy, everybody was like, tell us more questions, do more questions. So Carl had to think of another, I think, 15 to 20 questions on the spot, so the game could still go on. So it was fun.
Yeah.
Okay. It was fun.
Yeah. So first of all, Tupperware Mike was the one. So Tupperware Mike, this happened like, I don't know, a month out, 2 months out. He's like, all right, Carl, you're the ideas guy. What idea have you been wanting to do on a backpacking trip? And I'm like, I want to do backpacking Jeopardy. I can come with the questions. That's not the problem. I just don't know how to do the board where it's like displayable. So he comes up with like a felt rectangle that he hangs between 2 trees. And then we use just regular note cards, like 3x5 inch note cards that are labeled with, the numeric values on one side, the Velcro sticky part on the other side. And we have the categories and all that stuff. So that as people are asking for a certain point value / category, we're pulling it off the felt. So it's displayable, which is super cool. So Timberwolf Mike did a really good job with that. And then
that sounds like exactly what I just explained, Carl.
Yeah. Your story was so well. Yeah, the imagery was well done. Well done. So I brought a clipboard. I packed in a clipboard 10 miles with my list of questions. I had everybody in the group submit like category suggestions. So we had U.S. citizenship test questions to 80s soundtracks to all sorts of stuff. And then we kind of cycled through it. And I've run this game a number of times with students over the years. So my rules did not change because I've literally done this probably like 100 times. And you were just maybe not paying attention or you were overly sensitive. One of the two.
It could be either, or that everyone that remembers this trip agreed with me that you changed the rules. But maybe we all just didn't hear. So yeah.
I mean, I don't think I changed the rules. People might have misinterpreted the rules, or maybe I got loosey-goosey with the rules because people are yelling at me nonstop and they got hyper competitive. It was really like a chill group until Jeopardy. And then suddenly people are, they're tired. They've hiked 10 miles that day. And suddenly everybody was infused with like 5 cups of coffee and they're fired up and they're yelling. That part was actually awesome. So
yeah, it was fun.
Okay.
It was a highlight for me. So
yeah. So we'll probably do that again on future trips. But again, these are 7 things you probably haven't seen on your typical backpacking trip. And yeah. So if you want to check out future Patreon trips, we'll probably be putting out some information on that in the next, maybe in the next month or so. I don't know. We already, you and I started already texting ideas back and forth. And
yeah, I'm excited. We got Antarctica in the mix, China, Australia,
Afghanistan.
Where we go? Oh, don't get carried away now, Carl.
The moon. Okay.
Yeah. With
all right.
SpaceX, you can do it.
Yeah.
All right.
So I don't know if any of these ideas inspired anything for any of your trips. I know that sometimes when we share some of the things we've done on our trips, like it truly has inspired things. So like we had a weird one, for example, in the Red River Gorge trip where we did the white elephant gift exchange. And I know that other folks have started doing that out there. So yeah, hopefully let us know if any of these things inspired you, because we had a lot of fun with it.
Yeah. It was a blast.
It was a blast. Yeah. And it was a pleasure getting to know Ben. We kind of were joking around, but yeah, truly all the folks that went on this trip, we had a lot of fun with, and it was a blessing. So
every time we talked, you'd like pull me aside. You're like, "Hey man," and I was like, "This is it. I'm fired." He's gonna be like, "Yeah, we're just not like connecting on this trip. So if you want to pack up and head out now, like that would be a good idea.
Like head out early."
Yeah, I was, wake up the next day and everyone's like, "Where's Ben?" Yeah, he got fired.
Yeah, that's ridiculous.
So yeah,
so that's fired. I got fired from a backpacking trip. We could do like apprentice style where we just fire people and they have to like leave the trip. Oh my gosh. Okay. We've got weird things on a trip trivia coming up right after this. The trail is calling your name. Are you ready? Are you really ready? Our good friend Rowan from Summit Strength can get you trail ready. Rowan uses rock solid evidence to design a specialized training program just for you. There are plenty of cookie cutter programs out there that will get you only halfway up the mountain. Make it to your adventure summit with Summit Strength. The link to your success is always in our episode description, but you can check out all the information you need at summitstrength.com.au/online. It's time to be strong and pain-free for your next adventure. Weird Things on a Trip Trivia is brought to us by Teton Gear, and we actually did use Teton Gear. I think all the things we have from Teton were on this trip. So what did you use specifically?
I used the Altos insulated pad and the sleeve and the tent, the Mountain Ultra for 2 to 3 person tent.
Yeah, and both worked out well. You've done the review for the tent already, and then it was, I think, the last week's episode or the week before you'd had the review out for the pad. So if you want to check that out, but generally speaking, like you were satisfied with the gear you brought with the Teton gear.
Oh yeah, for sure. It held up and it was really good. So definitely like it.
Yeah, good stuff. Okay, awesome. So we'll continue. We got some news for some. If you're interested in this gear, we've got some news upcoming for some giveaways that are possibly headed your way. So, all right, number 1, ultralight rain mitts by Hightail Designs. Looks like waterproof mittens made out of excess rainfly material, but they weigh only an ounce. Okay, so that's kind of the draw. So how much do you think they cost? A, $86, B, $20, C, $40, or D, $120?
What was the most expensive one? Is that $160?
$120.
$120. Yeah, let's go with 120 because people will buy it, spend money on it. It's probably just one of those things that you probably have 3 of them, Carl, and are probably
I do.
really happy.
This is not my thing. This is not my thing.
Well, can you use it as 2 items? It's oven mitt and keeps your head warm, right? So.
Did you just call it an oven mitt? It kind of looked like that, I guess.
Yeah.
Incorrect. $86 is correct, which still, it's
wow.
You're on the right track. It's like egregiously priced, but if you're into ultralight, then that could be for you. So
yeah. Wow.
Number 2, which of these weird items does not exist? All right. Full disclosure, I listed a couple items and then I just like kind of Google searched them to confirm they didn't exist, and a couple of them actually did exist. So, but the only one of them doesn't.
Okay.
A, trekking pole water filter. B, unifoot sock. UNI foot sock. C, scented backpacking candles. D, battery operated toilet seat warmer.
I would think the toilet seat warmer. Like, who's gonna backpack that in?
Well, it doesn't have to be backpacking. It could be. This could be for. Yeah.
Oh, well, let's go. So the trekking pole. I would probably go with the trekking pole filter, or is that like a filter that's built in the trekking pole, so you don't even have to bend over? You can just like suck it up.
I've never used it if it exists, so I don't know. Yeah, you could suck through. That'd be kind of interesting.
I think we just invented one. So let's go trekking pole filter, because I know candles exist. So
candles do exist.
Yeah.
Good analysis there, by the way.
Yeah.
But scented backpacking candles do not. So that was the correct answer.
No, there's no way. There's no way. They like, you go to Marshall's or any outlet store and they have candles and they're scented like the outdoors. They're scented like backpacking. Yeah.
If you can find one that's literally labeled backpacking candle and it's scented, then I'll give it to you, and we'll retroactively apply it to this because now you failed trivia. But no, you're wrong. So I looked these up, man. I had to look all these up. I couldn't find any scented backpacking candles specifically. The trekking pole water filter, kind of weird, exists. I actually did type in unifoot sock because we made that video talking about how you can go like super ultra light and you can like just bring one sock. So I called it the unifoot sock, and there's literally a brand called that. So that's kind of weird. Number 3, who said that in order to get around a large mountain, you should travel through caves that go deeper and deeper into the mountain until you're completely underwater? A, Bear Grylls, B, Jennifer Farr Davis, C, Grandma Gatewood, or D, Cody Lundeen?
Well, I can't think of a grandma telling us to go in deeper into a cave, so probably not her.
She's a famous hiker, man. She's famous.
Yeah. No, I know. I couldn't see anyone like telling that.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
Yeah, like grandma like wouldn't tell us. She'd tell us to be safe. So I can see Bear Grylls just going, you gotta go deeper, 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 because eventually you're gonna come out the other side. I don't like, that's the only thing that would make sense.
Yeah, he went like underwater, like submerged himself. Was so ridiculous. We featured this on a recent Throwback Thursday episode, 10 Lies Bear Grylls Told You, and I'm still appalled by this one. This one blew me away, but that is correct, my friend. Correct.
Well, you could have a trekking pole snorkel then when you do that,
because if you keep on going, eventually you're gonna come out the other side, right? You're not gonna just get stuck in some underwater cave somewhere.
Would never happen.
Goodness. Would never happen. Okay. All right. So for tidbits, I'm gonna kick the tidbits to the end after we close out. We like to do this when we have Patreon trips. I don't think I did this for the last one, but we have what I call Sounds of the Trail, where we caught up. I think we caught up with everybody that was on our trip. We just had a quick chat. So quick Sounds of the Trail. I like to do this when we're actually hiking out on our way out. But like I mentioned before, I couldn't physically catch up to folks, including 2 people that were over 70 years old that finished ahead of me. I literally couldn't catch up to them. They were in amazing shape.
I think they were scared. You're just like yelling, please slow down.
Slow down.
And they just kept going faster.
Right. So anyway, so we got some of that. So we still did a quick interview with them, but Sounds of the Trail coming up after the closing. You got anything else?
No, that was good. I had fun. Looking forward to the next one, and we'll see what happens on that trip.
Stay tuned, folks. Stay tuned. Have a great week out there, everybody, and God bless.
See ya.
Just to clarify, this is Ben, and this is Chris. They are not the same person. All right, so this is Chris's first Patreon trip with us, and he's part of a YouTube channel called Wallowa Hikes.
Yes.
I said that right?
You got it right.
For new backpackers, if you want to gain the skills, if you're new to backpacking. But Chris typically goes solo, and he suddenly found himself on a 13-person trip.
That's right.
So here, I'll give this to you here.
Okay.
So how's it going with that?
You know, it's been fantastic. Again, I've been doing this for over 20 years, and I have never gone with another adult human being until this weekend.
For over 20 years, that's crazy.
Over 20 years, yeah. So, introvert in a group of 13. I mean, that's just wild. And yeah, a little bit challenging to just feel comfortable that first day, not knowing what to expect, not knowing if I was going to keep pace, kind of having an imposter syndrome, I guess, because when you do it by yourself, you just assume you're doing everything you're supposed to do. So, yeah, it's been a fantastic experience, and I definitely see the benefits in going and sharing nature with other people.
Has the imposter syndrome gone away?
Absolutely. It's been fantastic to see what other people do, how other people do it, looking at gear, looking at what people eat, and what it comes down to is we're all doing this same thing, having this same experience. We've got an amazing group of people here. Everybody has been so welcoming, so friendly, so kind, and you know, I can see myself staying in touch with them after this.
Oh, that's really cool. That's really cool to hear.
So, yeah.
This is Christine. She's on our backpacking trip. What does it feel like to be the only short person on the trip?
What kind of question is that? What kind of question is that?
She brought it up.
Well, I knew I'd have to hike faster to keep up.
And you did hike faster.
Yeah.
You were stinking fast.
Old people rock.
Yeah, they do. Yeah, they do.
You've done backpacking trips with, I think you said, the most 3 people. And now you've thrust yourself into a group of 13, 12 of them strangers. How'd that go for you?
It was great.
Okay.
It was great. There's enough people where you're not put on the spot, so you can actually kind of stand back a little while and kind of take in what's going on. And I have to say, for this kind of a trip, it was perfect for me because most of the people had a lot of experience backpacking. And I had some serious questions like, how does my sleeping bag work? That got answered.
Okay.
On the second night.
You use your quilt though, right?
Yeah, the quilt.
Okay.
Quilt. So there was
because you know how to use a sleeping bag. Just to clarify.
yeah, that's right. The sleeping quilt was a little sketchy because there were like 2.
What do I do with a zipper?
So I kind of that first night I had like 2 big open spaces, and so I just took like my down jackets and stuffed them in there, and it was really serious, silly. And this was a group. I mean, seriously, there was no one that had any egos. Everybody was willing to help, and no one said, "You can't figure out your quilt."
Oh no!
Well, not to your face.
No.
Anyways.
Yeah, it's all about.
I didn't help you. If you noticed that, I was like,
After I went to bed, I thought I heard my name a couple times. But
we save all that stuff for the rest of the podcast episode. No, it was a joy having you. You definitely made the trip way better for us.
It was a lot of fun. I'm glad I did it. At first, I wasn't sure if I would fit in just because of the age thing.
No.
I was thinking you guys are like really mountain men.
Well, that's true. That part's true.
yeah.
But I did feel like I fit in.
Oh yeah,
It was great.
That was fun having you. All right, we're here with Brian. Brian warned me. I asked about lunches on the trail. How many times did we stop on the way in to camp?
On the way in, at least 7 or 8, which is pretty light for, a rough 10-mile day. But I think it was adequate.
Do you feel like we were hobbits?
A little bit, yeah. I definitely got the furry knuckles and feet going on. So.
And
are you lowering your voice on purpose to sound more manly?
Yes, I am.
You being from Ohio,
Same thing.
Do you know what these trees are?
I think they're aspens, and you can tell that by the way they look.
This is Doug's third trip with us, and he's always a joy on a backpacking trip. He always has some one-liners like, if you take out 20 scouts and you come back with 19,
You still got an A.
still got an A. And what's trail mix?
Trail mix is Disappointment and M&Ms.
Disappointment and M&Ms. And so the best part of the trip. All right, Ben, like take us through this.
So we came up and we were deciding what scat this was. It was unsure. Carl was pretty sure it was bear poop. It wasn't bear poop. So Doug came up, flying up, pushing people out of the way. Children were running. And Doug comes with a plastic bag and picks up the poop and is all happy because he says it's for clinical purposes. I think he collects scat on trips that he remembers, and so now he has a whole tray at home of scat. And
That's an idea.
Yeah, this is the big trip out in California.
That's a great question, Ben. All right,
sorry.
Why did you pick up the scat, Doug?
Well, I'm a veterinarian and I teach a lab animal course or lab course later in the semester, and I needed a sample to run poop on. And all my vet techs, whenever I come back from backpacking, they're always excited about when I bring back some kind of poop, whether it's bear, coyote, or whatever I end up bringing back.
We have different friends.
Way different. Percent chance of Sasquatch. Percent chance of Sasquatch.
Thanks for coming, Doug.
Yeah, thank you. That was great.
All right, we're with Jen, one of the trip planners. Very fun trip. I was promised a little weather and no hail. Jen, please tell us what happened on day 2.
Well, we were hiking back down from the lake and all of a sudden it started raining and then it started hailing pretty
Big
good.
hail.
What?
It was big hail.
Big hail, and it was hitting Ben in the ears. And so I stopped and I said, maybe we should take cover in the woods.
First of all, my ears are not that big.
Well, I mean,
They were just
they were
going
big
in
hails,
and-
to be fair.
yeah.
And I said, maybe we should take cover in these woods. And I walked into the woods and I saw a rock that I thought would be cool to hide under. And so I started walking towards it and I left Christine to flag everybody down on the trail. And then I found a cave and it had a fire ring and dry firewood and would have made a great place if we had to have stayed for a long time. But thankfully we didn't. It stopped pretty quick and we got back on the trail and finished it up.
And what was the name of the cave?
We named it Jen's Cave.
She named it Jen's Cave.
All right, this is Macho Man Jerry Savage here, and I just have to apologize, man. So first night we had all sorts of crazy camp games. We had a piñata, we had Jeopardy going on,
which was amazing.
Thank you. But Jerry brought a 3-pound large deck of Uno cards.
It's just weight.
It's just wait, and so we were gonna play them, but the second day it rained and hailed on us, and so we never really got to it. So I apologize, man.
It's all
No,
right.
what happened? You did ask if you wanted to play. And
Yeah.
he turned you down.
Yeah, at 8 o'clock at night in the dark with no light. That would have been amazing.
Waste in the Dark does not have light, you're saying?
The dark, it's completely no light in the dark.
Okay. So aside from carrying dead weight, what was the top moment on this trip for you?
Top moment in this trip. Now, no, I'm just kidding.
right now.
No, Jeopardy was amazing.
Okay.
I had fun.
Really?
I really did have fun
Okay.
with that. I did. And just everyone, poking fun at each other. It was fun.
Do you remember you took 3rd, also known as last place?
Or, first place, seconds, or
I don't know what that means.
I'm trying here.
Can you come up on the spot? Can you come up with any of the Jeopardy questions? Any, not the soundtrack ones, but any
well,
questions?
man, no.
No?
No, the soundtrack was the best.
Okay.
The
Can you-
citizenship. How's that? What was that? The last one was 18.
That's the
or
answer.
No, it was 7. Yeah. Well, what's the question? When was the Declaration signed?
When was the Constitution signed?
Constitution. Was
Okay, close enough.
I forgot.
All right.
18 or 1784.
I think 1787, close enough. All right.
Wow.
There you go. Everybody learns
close
something.
enough.
Well, now we know why he's in 3rd place.
That's right.
All right, man. Thanks so much for coming on the trip. Always a blast, man. Always a blast. I'm here with Nathan. He's from Wisconsin. He just got his knee amputated right before the trip. Still made it though. He's part of, I don't really know what he does for a living, but I think he's part of like CSI Wisconsin. And he was sharing on the trip about how to, cover up DNA, how to like dilute a crime scene with DNA.
Well, okay, this is just between you and me, but there is a way to, if you know beforehand you're going to be committing the crime, you need to cover your hands in the DNA ladder that the crime lab is going to use in their kit to analyze the DNA, and that way you won't get any signal from you. It'll just all be drowned out by the DNA ladder.
Which I think is some really good insider information. and it can really help some folks out there. If you really know what a DNA ladder is, I don't know what that means, but
Check it out at Amazon.
how much do DNA ladders cost on Amazon?
I don't think you can buy them on Amazon. You might have to buy the entire DNA analysis kit. I'm actually not totally sure even how much that costs. I've never actually purchased one. I've only just been involved in the developing of one, but probably a couple $1,000s. Hey, good investment if you want to avoid jail time.
Does the DNA ladder allow you to do something like where you can like get bitten by a spider and then you get Spider-Man powers?
If you drink the DNA ladder at the same time, then yes, that would be, it's a well-known side effect.
We caught up with Jason at the end of the trail, and he brought something on this trip that was so ridiculous, so surprising, that we want to know, what is it? Tell the world what weird things you bring on a backpacking trip.
A Sasquatch pinata.
Pinata. That's right. So,
Who doesn't like to swing at a Sasquatch pinata 10 miles in the backcountry?
what's the inspiration for a Sasquatch pinata?
To have fun. Pinatas are fun.
How much does it weigh, Jason?
3 pounds.
3 pounds. He brought 3 pounds worth, and we knocked it out, as you'll see at night.
You would never believe the smiles that came out, and everybody dropped about 35 years in age.
That's right.
5 years old, running around, grabbing everything.
That's right.
Like there was no tomorrow.
Thank you for making the trip more fun, my friend.
My pleasure.
Good job. Jordan, what do you think of this backpacking trip? I think you had some high expectations. Did they meet your expectations?
Last year was my first time going out with on a trip like this, and really great experience. But I'll have to be honest, this trip didn't quite meet up to expectations.
What?
Yeah, not the same level that I guess I had in my head what it would kind of be. I guess maybe that's a fault on my end. Man, I was just really hoping for more. I mean,
More what?
well, here's the thing, Carl. I was told it was a 10-mile hike into camp, and it was only 9.5 miles.
Yeah, that's.
And so I'm feeling a little gypped that I got half a mile less on this trip, at least into camp, and that means half mile back too. So that's an extra mile that I'm not going to get as part of this trip.
So how would you like retribution for that?
Well, retribution. I mean, again, I can't really hold that or fault that to Carl or the trip planners on this trip, but I tried to make up for it in my own ways. Every time we stop for a bathroom break or, you know, a little break, I'll peel out and just go for a little, you know, jog around the area. So
do you think it'd be fair if like we had you and Carl make up the time at the end of the trip? So you gotta walk with Carl the extra half mile that you haven't made up yet.
Oh, you know what? That sounds like a brilliant idea. I feel like, yeah, that would be great. Maybe if we can get one of you guys to kind of drive our cars down a ways.
Oh, that's a good idea.
Then,
Yeah. What do you think of that, Carl?
So that's an option for sure. Or I guess another option would be like you just increase the intensity, right? So try to catch me.
Guys, the 15-pound pack doesn't feel good running. Well, Mike, like, what made this trip fun for you?
Hiking with my wife, always.
Not
Not you guys.
Wow.
Yeah.
Did not think it was going to go that way.
Okay.
All right, that's all we have for Mike.
All right, so next
So now that Jen's not watching anymore, I loved hanging out with you guys, camaraderie, and getting to know you and everybody else I hadn't met yet. It's always the funnest part for me on trips is like.
A top moment of the trip. Give it to us.
Top moment would be Doug picking up the poop. Yeah. How can you not love that moment? That was to watch a guy with a bag just reach down and grab scalp.
Such enthusiasm.
I know.
Such enthusiasm.
That was crazy.
Thanks for playing the trip, man. This is a blast.
Good. Glad you guys had a good time.
Oh, absolutely. All right, I got Zach from Ohio with me. Zach, what is one of the most ridiculous things that happened on this trip here?
I've seen some stuff. You ever seen a deer herd basically take everything in your camp? It's frightening.
What do they take? What do they take,
They
Zach?
took trekking poles. It's inhumane. Have you ever gone hunting for deer in the dark with a stick? Because we did. We did.
Zach's really a nice guy. He's not scary like that normally. So I don't want you to get the wrong impression about our Patreon trips.
So me and Zach were getting back to camp, and we saw a deer with a trekking pole in its mouth, and another deer with a trekking pole in its mouth. And so we chased it, threw sticks at it, dropped the poles.
I think Ben's version of telling a story is Zach tells a story and then Ben just reiterates it.
Well, he didn't tell the story. He was just like, they stole stuff. Do the bathroom story. This morning, the bathroom story this morning.
Do the bathroom
He has a
story?
bathroom story.
What is happening right now?
Speaking
So
of deer.
I got up to use the outdoor facilities, and there were about 8 eyes looking back at me in the dark. And then I had
And
to
none
yell
of
at
them were animals.
Bathroom is not a group sport. That's all I gotta say.
He was waiting for the alien to show up.
I think Derek showed up. Well, he was two of the eyes right there.